Mangroves provide a natural shield when hurricanes bear down on coastal communities. They protect against the force of tidal waves and winds. But a lot of Belize's mangroves are being destroyed, wantonly in many cases, for the sake of development. There is a conscious effort on the part of the government to reverse that trend by implementing new measures.
In our Bond Challenge project, the restoration of 130,000 hectares of degraded lands, and that also includes some mangrove restoration. I think it's around 6,000 acres of mangroves that will hopefully be restored and replanted between now and 2030. So we have a restoration desk at the Department of Environment, and they are now fully involved, fully engaged, trying to start the project, but it is going to be a collaboration with the private sector, with the NGOs who are working out there. We have, for example, certain regulations that regulate the use and tearing down of the mangroves, especially in areas where you have these developments for tourism, especially of housing in the Keys and in the coastal areas.
Property owners should acquire permits from the Forest Department before they clear away mangroves for development, but many times the law is not upheld. So when the Department of the Environment gets the information, they assess the damage and impose a fine. As Belize's tourism industry grows, there is a demand for more construction of resorts and hotels in coastal communities. It potentially means that mangroves will be cleared to accommodate these buildings. Of particular concern for the World Wildlife Fund is that most of the lands that contain mangroves are privately owned. Nadia Bud is the Senior Program Officer for Marine Science and Climate Change.
A key project that we are undertaking right now is looking at mangrove land tenureship. To understand, who owns the private, to what extent, what percentage of mangroves in the country is in private hands, what percentage is still state-owned, where we can have some interventions. Our original estimation before we commenced this research is that, somewhere in the vicinity of 70% of Belize coastal zone is in private hands. And so that begs the need, for us to work with whoever these landowners, because that will only put additional pressure on the existing mangroves that we have.
The WWF is working with the government through the Lands and Survey Department, the Belize Coastal Zone Management Authority Institute, and the Forest Department to undertake a national land tenure analysis. It is with a view to develop an engagement strategy to work with landowners on how to sustainably develop around the mangroves that are on their property. What will serve to complement that effort is a partnership that Fragments of Hope is forging with Strong Coast, a U.S.-based non-government organization, to provide training on how to trim mangroves.
I don't know of any actual method, like they don't come and say, well, this is how to properly trim a mangrove. I don't know of any documents or anything to that effect. And so with this training that with this collaboration that Fragments of Hope has with Strong Coast, more than likely I would be trained into how to properly trim mangroves among other people, and then that way we could come and train other people in Belize how to do that, because from what I understand, mangroves can't be cut any kind of way. It's not like the normal trees you see out here. If you cut it in a bad way, the whole thing can die.
In May of 2023, Bowen & Bowen Company Limited spearheaded a mangrove reforestation exercise on Gulf Ski to curb erosion that has been occurring on the island for over a decade. Kent Garbott, an assistant lab technician at the CZMAI, explained to us that there was a special method being applied to the reforestation effort.
We're using the method called the Riley encasement method. I must say of some sort, because I have altered it to suit this area. So the Riley encasement method is basically having something to enclose the mangroves in, a pipe, a bamboo, something of that nature.
Right.
So basically, it's just cutting the pipe or the bamboo in the middle, facing it to the land, because we want the water to go in, but we don't want a lot of water to go in.
With the level of development happening along Belize's coastal areas, it will require stringent enforcement and constant monitoring of the laws to stop the widespread destruction of the mangroves. The Ministry of Environment has established an office in San Pedro to monitor unapproved mangrove clearing, but there is a need for countrywide cover.
That is part of our problem. Personnel, we have to have more personnel to be able to do and monitor and have compliance ongoing. We will have to submit a request to Cabinet for support for funding for additional personnel that we can place at least one other person down south and possibly one in the north. We have the areas of Placencia, Hopkins, and other small islands where we have a lot of development, and so that we need that type of monitoring and compliance.
Reporting for News 5, I'm Marion Ali.